Although it's likely that over the course of this election, Fox News has lost some of its dominance in conservative media, since they weren't initially all too supportive of Donald Trump, they are still a big go-to source of information for many conservatives, and so when they're outright lying about government programs, it's important. And we have an example of it today. Recently, they ran a section of one of their shows devoted to the question of whether food stamps need to be ended as a program. Not cut as they have been multiple times over the course of the past couple of decades, but ended altogether. And their explanation for why that is pretty laughable. They believe that there's too much fraud in the program. Now, the information that they use is questionable and it is old, but even if we grant them that the information that they displayed on their show, that there was $70 million in 1 year of fraud in food stamps, that's a ridiculous reason to use to end the program. After all, food stamps cost something like $70.8 billion per year. That's obviously a lot of money, but of course it's a lot of money that goes to some of the people who are most hard off in this country, the people who most desperately need that support. I mean, after all, we're not talking about support for their oil company, we're talking about their ability to actually feed themselves and their families. And millions of Americans qualify for that, millions of Americans depend on it. And so they believe that $70 million of fraud exists in the program in 1 year. So if you do the quick math, that actually works out to, 0.1% fraud. Now, I understand that they're not math majors necessarily. I wasn't great at math in college either, but thankfully somebody did the math for me. That actually seems like a great vote of confidence for the program. If they've managed to keep fraud to 0.1%, and now I know what you're probably saying, okay, so that's a very small percentage, but it's still a large amount in raw dollars. And I guess, for me it is. Certainly if I was being paid that, it would be a lot of money. But do you know how difficult it is to find something in the government that costs less than $70 million a year? That's insanity. As one person on Twitter pointed out, that's significantly less than the cost that Donald Trump's family's security will cost us for Trump Tower, because they're going to be using that instead of just using the White House. And yet that is the rationale that Fox News is using to just have the discussion about whether food stamps should be shut down. Now, the reason I think this is important is not because Fox News is being dishonest. We sort of expect that. But this is another sign that you need to buckle up and you need to get ready. Because despite the fact that they've cut literally tens of billions of dollars out of food stamps, that now millions of Americans will not get the support that they need, or will not get as much support as they were getting previously, they're not satisfied. They're willing to fight to the end to destroy the entirety of the program. Not simply to save money, as if fraud and waste is their big problem with government spending. They don't mind it when it's the Department of Defense. But when it's food stamps, suddenly it's the most important thing in the world. And they feel emboldened. Emboldened to go beyond simple cuts of these programs that people desperately need. They want to go for the bone marrow. They want to go as deep as they can and root out the social safety net, one strand at a time. And people are going to need these programs even more. When the huge Trump and Republican tax cuts go through, it is going to lead to massive shortfalls in government revenue coming in. Programs like food stamps are almost certainly going to bear the brunt of a lot of that, because Republicans are not going to be willing to cut the military. They're not going to be willing to cut subsidies to oil companies and things like that. No, they're going to be cutting the programs that they never liked all along, including TAN, FDSAP, and the food stamps and all of that. These people are going to need these fucking programs because there's going to be a lot of pain to go around under Donald Trump's first term. And here is Fox News trying to prepare us for what their strategy is going to be when those cuts start to happen. It ain't going to be pretty.